Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video. I am once again joined by MJ, and we're going to have a pretty awesome discussion. But before we get into that, MJ, why don't you say hello to everyone listening?
All I know is money right now. All I know is your booty in that tight dress on a Friday night shit looking lovely right now. Oh, what's up?
This guy. Anyway, guys, we're going to be talking to you guys today about whether or not, or actually definitively why we need an angel villain in Dragon Ball Super. And you know where this comes from, man? I was actually rewatching Fukkatsu no F, the movie, not necessarily the arc. It hasn't come back on Blu-ray, and I told myself I'm not going to watch any of this stuff until it comes out on Blu-ray and I can watch it at home, with the way I really prefer watching media. So anyway, back to the conversation. Basically, I was watching the movie, and I gotta say, that fight between Goku and Vegeta with Whis is probably one of the most badass things Dragon Ball Super's ever put on screen, if we're taking the movie and putting it along with this new series. And also, they did that stuff in the anime as well. Personally, I think that we need an angel villain because we haven't seen Goku and Vegeta, although they struggle with everyone that they fight, they're similarly on par. I mean, we haven't necessarily seen anything in Dragon Ball Super where we have an outmatched fight like Goku versus, I guess, Final Form Frieza, or even Gohan before he turns Super Saiyan 2 versus Cell, or almost everyone versus Boo. We haven't seen that where it's like there's no way you can win this fight, but we're fighting because it's the only decision that we have to make right now. If we don't fight, we're dead. And I think that would be so epic, especially if all the other angels, whether it's Whis or Vados or any of the other ones that we've seen, even the Grand Priest, we know that they're probably going to have the same abilities that Whis does. Either go back 3 minutes or even longer, or completely able to react without having to think about having to react, and you just can't touch the person. So Goku, Vegeta, Hit, Jiren, Topo, Frieza, Gohan, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Master Roshi, Krillin, 17, 18, the list goes on, would have to use their abilities in order to fight this and put that person off their guard. I think that would be so freaking awesome.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, and it's logical to go that way, one step above, you know what I mean? And I just want to paint this little... I'm just kidding. I'm not going to paint a picture right now. I want to talk about what my friend Pry was talking to me about and why they've been subtly telling us, hinting, little things here and there, that we could potentially get an angel villain, or we could get a villain stronger than a god of destruction. And here's one of the few things. Now, obviously, Goku and Vegeta train with Whis the most. I don't think it's ever mentioned that they actually train with Beerus. He's watched over them as they train, but I don't think they've actually ever trained in combat. Now, with Whis, one of his training methods, according to, I believe, episode 47, again, this is what Pride told me. I haven't actually double-checked it yet, so I could be wrong on this. You guys can comment down below if I am and correct me, but what Pride was telling me was, in episode 47, one of the training methods that Vegeta's doing with Whis is that he has to land a hit on him. And they couldn't land any hits on Whis back in ROF, but in episode 47, which is after training in the Room of Spirit and Time and after fighting in the Universal Tournament, supposedly Whis mentions that he's only landed 2 hits since he's been on the planet, you know, and that's like his reputation. He fights and fights until he supposedly has to hit Whis a certain amount of times, and he only was able to hit him twice, right? Well, in episode 71, when Hit shows up to kill Goku, during the training that is shown with Whis and Vegeta, supposedly Vegeta was not allowed to leave there until he landed 100 hits on Whis. That was his repetition. And little do we know, in episode 72, he shows up with Whis and Beerus. And Pride was telling me, does that mean Vegeta landed 100 hits on Whis? Like, is that possible? Is that? And then you skip to this arc, and you have Goku getting the new form, which is, you know, you have all that. Then you also have Whis telling Goku about that mortal who's supposedly stronger than a god of destruction, or at least is on a god of destruction level. So he was telling me there's subtle little hints there that could potentially lead to a villain being stronger than a god of destruction, or it being an angel. So from a power scaling point of view, the way Goku and Vegeta are climbing up the ranks and how they're getting stronger and, you know, faster, new forms, it seems like we could potentially get a villain that's stronger than Beerus and Champa, you know what I mean? And to go off of this, makes the perfect sense for it to be an angel, because for one, I mean, why not? Amazing, you know what I mean? They have so many abilities, it would be a badass fight to see, you know? I'm not too sure if you guys have seen Naruto. It finished a while ago, so I hope this ain't a spoiler for you guys. One of the villains, Kaguya, which is one of the last villains they fight, she has so many OP abilities, Mark, that she was literally changing like dimensions as they were fighting. So she would go to a cold dimension, which would freeze them, and then she would switch to another dimension that was hot, and then to a gravity dimension as they were fighting, like just switching it up, like switching up the environment on them. So that would be cool to get something like that, where they're like fighting like an angel, and she's literally, or he, they're literally just switching up like the environment on them. Like they take him to a planet with like 1,000,000 times Earth's gravity or something, and then take him back to Earth and then do this and that. That would be insane. That would also kind of help people say, how come Blue can't destroy a city, but God can destroy a universe? You know what I mean? Well, you know, that would actually be cool to get some feats like that, where we get this like alternate space dimensional fight, you know what I mean? Something that would surpass all of what we've seen in Dragon Ball, you know what I mean? You could step up the bounty there. It would just be cool to get a villain like that, you know?
Based on what you're saying, one of the things I really like about that is you kind of have to at least elaborate on the fact that maybe Goku and Vegeta actually can, from training with Whis, could potentially punch him. I mean, it's going to be kind of a rough fight if not even Goku and Vegeta could even punch their opponent. But like, yeah, like, I mean, they were able to punch Frieza, or the person Frieza allowed them to punch him. I mean, I would imagine if it was the Grand Priest or even another angel, like they might get really cocky. It's like, oh, you're just a mortal. You can't touch me. You're not a deity. You're not anything else like that. And then Goku and Vegeta, can you imagine like Vegeta just sitting there and like the angel sitting there like, oh, you can't touch me. And Vegeta's just like, bam, like right in the face. Like, just like completely throw that person off, and they're like, oh, like, you know, and then they start getting a little mad because it's like, how dare you punch me? You're just a know nothing Saiyan, or you're nothing. Like, honestly,
that's kind of like the Zamasu mentality, though.
Exactly.
You're immortal. How dare you touch me?
Exactly, but like at the same time, like they were never they. I know Zamasu completely dominated them, especially the merged Zamasu completely dominated them, but it was never. It was always like they had the upper hand, and then he basically came back. You know, he Zenkai'd into it. Or he was just immortal, so he was never going to get hurt. This would be a completely different situation. It would be more along the lines of what we saw in Classic Z, where you have Frieza, or the androids, or Cell, or Boo, or anybody else, where they're just so much stronger that they have to actually rise to that level instead of actually being ahead, and then that person completely Zenkai out of it. Because that's one thing, honestly, that's been one real big thing that Dragon Ball Super has been relying on. And it's actually gotten me kind of mad, just on a side note, where Beerus didn't go out. He even made a statement that he said he wasn't going out against Goku. There wasn't a whole lot of stakes in that fight. Frieza was stronger than Goku in their original fight in the Fakatsu no F arc of Dragon Ball Super, but you knew he had this fatal flaw from the movie, or just in general what they were saying, and he was never going to be able to win. Hit got stronger throughout the fight, and so did Black and Zamasu, and it felt like that's just their go-to thing. Is there's no one sitting on the sidelines who is just so much stronger than Goku and Vegeta that they don't know how to handle it, and they don't know how to get stronger than that during the course of one particular fight. Now, Jiren might be the exception to that, and whoever this mythical, this just out-of-the-wall villain, if it is an angel or a god of destruction, or even just immortal, that could potentially be where they're going with this, but I don't necessarily know. All I know is that I want someone to come in and challenge Goku and Vegeta to this situation where it's like Vegeta fighting Final Form Frieza, where it's just a completely outmatched, outclassed situation, but they, working as a team, figure out how to actually at least survive long enough for someone to get a power boost or something in order to actually win the day.
No, I completely agree with you, but when you start talking about that, that's one of my main gripes in Super is that they kind of went against what Z told us, which is not a bad thing, you know what I mean? But they went against Z, and they've been telling us this subtly throughout the arc that, yeah, if we work together, we can stand a chance. Whereas in Z, that wasn't a thing. No matter how many people fought Nappa, he was still beating the shit out of them. No matter what teamwork they used on him, he still had the upper hand. The same with Vegeta. Yeah, once Krillin and Gohan showed up, he was already tired after fighting Goku. If they had all fought before, he got hit with that Kaioken's 4 Kamehameha, he would have mollywopped them, you know what I mean? The same with Frieza. There's a specific scene in both the manga and in the anime, it's also in Kai as well, where you have Krillin, Piccolo, Gohan simultaneously using teamwork trying to fight Final Form Frieza, and it's not working. He's just too powerful and fast for them. Like nothing. Like he's just like dodging, and the anime makes it to where like they're moving so slow that he's moving like his head very slowly, when in actuality he's just so fast that he's dodging everything, you know what I mean? Here is like if they're trying to paint the picture that if you work together you can actually overcome your opponent. At Game with Cell, another example, the idea was that even if they all worked together they would still lose to Perfect Cell. Like there was no reason for them to jump him because he would still fuck them all up. That's why they put all their faith into Goku, you know? It's just like that's just the way it was told, but here it's different, and I get your point on that. Like Merge Masu, overwhelmingly powerful. I think even they tried to play it up as well. The Kaioshin was like, his power expanded to in no end, you know? And then Vegeta was like, I never sensed a power like this, right? So they tried to play it up, but it's like just because Goku and Vegeta work together, they can all of a sudden overcome all of his abilities, like the lightning of absolution and that burial ability and the fucking holy wrath. It's like all his abilities that he showcased are just coming over just because they're working together, you know? It's like, I get your point on that, and I do think we really need a villain that would just mollywomp them no matter how they work together, you know? Like, for them to do the final Kamehameha together, shoot it at the same time, and then, like, he flicks it and says, get that garbage out of here. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, man, they gotta fuse and do a Big Bang Kamehameha Kai, and like it just completely destroyed based on the manga, definitely. But anyway, like that is just my absolute number one gripe with this show is I understand when you're talking, if you want to break it down like that, Goku and Vegeta can work together and beat almost any single enemy because they're the ones who are the main characters. They're the plot armor. It doesn't necessarily... In Dragon Ball Z, it didn't necessarily matter because every time we saw everyone gang up on anybody, it was always secondary characters and it was never going to matter. Now they're... But you're right. Like now they're actively saying that doesn't necessarily make sense anymore. Like they're making a plot point to say that, yeah, like if you would have just worked as a team, no one was in sync with each other. Just like bullshit. I can point you to
kill Frieza, you know.
Bullshit. I can point you to so many different things where they were working as a team. But the thing is still true is one of the things I want from an angel villain, or like you said, God of Destruction, mortal stronger than the God of Destruction, whatever it might be, but I do want an angel, just considering the fact that Goku and Vegeta were training with Whis, and we get to see just how OP Whis is. And I want to see like how his brothers and sisters are, or even his father. But I really think that if they were to do this, they need to, as we've discussed before, take all of these people they're introducing and giving somewhat of a spotlight to in the Tournament of Power and allow all of their techniques to fight this particular villain. I know that's just like you and I geeking out about that particular thought. Like, oh, you know, you were saying like, you know, Roshi, Piccolo, and Frieza using telekinesis, while 18, 17, and the girl from Pride Troopers using their barriers in order to create like a different dimension and also protect people from different things, and like Goku and Vegeta using the final Kamehameha, and it's just the list goes on and on.
Like everybody combining their techniques to overcome this greater power, you know?
Exactly, and like that is just something that I think I can't imagine a more cool, I can't believe this is the best time to be a Dragon Ball fan as right now, just seeing all of this play out as that, honestly.
Well, the good thing about it being an angel, because yeah, I agree with you. I think if there is a villain like that, it should be an angel, because with the angel, And this is just for the sake of Super and the writers. It's a real quick cop-out of not having to explain how this person is so strong and how this person has all these abilities. You know what I mean? Because we already know from Whis and Vados that their abilities are pretty damn identical. You know what I mean? The only thing we're not too sure about is the reversing time, right? That's the only thing that hasn't been shown that any other angel could do. I assume they can because Vados and Whis pretty much have the same other abilities, you know? So if that's the case, that's a real easy cop-out for Super. The writers don't have to explain jack shit about the angel and why he's so strong. It's just because he's a fucking angel, you know what I mean? That's all you have to know, and that's all you have to, you know, care about. That's why he or she has those abilities, and why he or she is that powerful, you know what I mean? And plus, it's a logical stepping stone. One of the main things they made a point to tell us in both the anime and the manga, the Future Trunks arc, is, hey, where's Whis at? He could have taken care of this quick. You know what I mean? He could have ended Goku Black or even like merged Zamasu, and, you know, they're like, oh, well, they lose their abilities or functionality or whatever, you know? I wonder where that's at. You know, but anyways, if that's the case, you know, they could easily, that could be one stepping stone up, you know what I mean? We saw the fusion of Super Saiyan God and a Kaioshin. So the next step up would be to get the angel, because why with the God of Destruction? Yeah, it could be cool, but we already got our fight with the God of Destruction back in Battle of Gods, you know what I mean? And judging by most Gods of Destruction, they all seem to be, I don't want to say the word isn't, they seem pricks. It's to some extent, you know what I mean? So who really cares about seeing them fight? Yeah, it'd be cool, but let's get an angel. Plus, we've never really seen an angel go all out either, so it would be cool to get the angel to fight all out as well, you know, up against so many people, all of Universe 7, you know?
I agree, and also, it's just something they need to give us. If Dragon Ball Super gives us anything before the show ends, we need to see them actually go up against an angel. It's the one thing we've been discussing ever since Battle of Gods came out, for God's sakes. It's like, we want to see Whis get his hands dirty. And it doesn't have to be, like, honestly, this just doesn't have to be Goku and Vegeta and Co. actually fighting all the mortals. Beerus and Whis and all the Gods of Destruction can get their hands dirty too. And that would make it just for that much more of an epic fight, because it doesn't matter who it is, as long as they're at least equal or on par with Whis and Vados, or even just a little bit stronger than them. Theoretically, they could actually go head to head and still beat them, and still have enough energy to take out all the Gods of Destruction and all the mortals. So it could potentially be the most epic fight that we've ever seen in Dragon Ball Super, or Dragon Ball in general.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, we're gonna actually leave it off there. Please make sure to go down to the comment section below and share your thoughts and opinions about this particular subject. Do you want to see an angel be the main antagonist of any given arc of Dragon Ball Super, or do you think that that person would just be too OP in order to, you know, put anyone to the real test, or it would have to do some real logical jumps to basically make the plot strong enough for Goku and Vegeta to win at the very end of all of this? And then honestly, please make sure to go down to the description section below to hit that link and go subscribe to MJ. The guy makes some really awesome content. Stuff will give you ear orgasms. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. And I hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.